SummerSlam 2020 went down tonight, and the tagline was "You won't see it coming." Did it live up to that hype? Was there some big surprise that no one saw coming? Let's take a look and see. We'll start off on the Kickoff Show. First match was Apollo Crews defending his United States Championship against MVP. The stipulation here was the Hurt Business could not be at ringside to help MVP in this match. So MVP came out, who was rocking some new music, had on some cool Punisher gear, and that's pretty much the only highlights of the match. Nothing too special here. MVP would lift Crews over the top rope early in the match, and Crews would face plant on the steps. And then Crews had nice diving senton over the top rope out of the ring onto MVP on the outside. Crews would later counter a playmaker from MVP, and he would end up winning the match to retain his United States Championship. Lashley and Shelton Benjamin would come to the ring, but Crews would escape, so this feud might not be over. There is another pay-per-view next Sunday, which I cannot believe. I think it's Payback, but yeah, so they may continue this feud to Payback, and I'm not gonna lie, I was hoping MVP would win to get more gold for the Hurt Business. Shelton Benjamin is currently the 24/7 champ, but it looks like this feud might continue at Payback. After that, we had Renee Young confirm she's leaving WWE to end the Kickoff Show. It was rumored and reported on actually earlier in the week that she was leaving WWE to pursue some other opportunities, possibly join up with her husband, the AEW champion Jon Moxley, in All Elite Wrestling. That remains to be seen, but Renee Young did a really good job for WWE, and wish her nothing but the best. After that, we had the main show starts, and we get Pyro. We are live from the Thunderdome, just a big empty arena in Orlando. Filled with LED screens with virtual fans and a bunch of cool laser lights and a bunch of other lights and stuff. So it kind of looks like your typical Raw SmackDown set, just with a bunch of like TV screens in the audience with fans' faces. But yeah, pretty cool to see a new change of venue for the WWE Thunderdome. And then we get the first match on the main card, Asuka versus Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Asuka would start with a jumping DDT to Bayley off the steps, which was a really cool move. Then Asuka was hung up on the second rope. Bayley would jump off the second turnbuckle and hit like a stunner to Asuka. Another really cool move there. Asuka would kick out the Bayley to belly, and then Bayley would kick out the Asuka running hip attack. Bayley would drop Asuka knees first on the apron, and that looked painful to me for some reason, not sure why, but that was only the beginning of the pain for Asuka in this night. I'll detail that later. Bayley would counter a missile dropkick from Asuka into a knee bar midair, which is very impressive. And there was a sunset flip bomb by Bayley to Asuka into the turnbuckle. Asuka would counter the elbow drop into the elbow drop into an armbar, and then Bayley would almost pin Asuka after a distraction from Banks. Then Banks would end up getting on the ring apron. Asuka would go for the hip attack. She would drill Banks, and this will allow Bayley to pin her for the win to retain her SmackDown Women's Championship. Then after the match, Asuka was beaten up by Banks and Bayley. So Asuka ended up having two matches tonight. She ended up losing the first one. Bayley is still your Raw Women's Champion. After that, we had a backstage segment where Dominik Mysterio is asking his dad Ray not to get involved in this match. Ray's hesitant, but eventually agrees. Then we move back to the main arena where we get the Raw Tag Team Championship. Garza and Andrade are challenging the Street Profits, and Kevin Owens before the match comes out on commentary. And the Profits make their entrance. A bunch of red solo cups are being rained down from the ceiling. Pretty cool. Then we start the match, and Forrest a nice Frankenstein to Andrade. He was on the turnbuckle. Forrest's athleticism was on full display here, and you got a small taste of it with that Frankensteiner because he was on the mat and Andrade was on the turnbuckle. After that, Ford would go for his patented running senton out of the ring or the top rope to the guys on the outside, but Andrade and Garza catch him and counter that into a double powerbomb. Very cool spot right there. And then Andrade would double stomp Ford out of the tree of woe. Andrade would hit a hard back elbow, and but Dawkins followed up with a big time spear, and this elbow looked bad. I mean, he got Dawkins right in the face. Something flew off Dawkins' head from the impact. Later though, Garza would super kick Ford, who would like fall back and hit Vega, who was on the ring apron. She would fall down. Andrade would go check on her, and then this would eventually lead to a really, really cool 180 frog splash from Montez Ford to Garza to pin and win. They are still your Raw Tag Team Champions. Very, very cool match. It looks like the tag team between Andrade and Garza might be imploding with the whole Zelina Vega interference or super kick or whatever, but that frog splash from Montez Ford was sick. 180. Check out this match just to see Montez Ford's athleticism. And so they are still the Raw Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits. Don't really know if they're going to continue this forward with Andrade and Garza. As I said, this implosion might be imminent. After that, we had Mandy Rose versus Sonya Deville in a loser leaves WWE no disqualification match. This was really changed from a hair versus hair match about the recent story about Sonya Deville in the news. It kind of makes sense why they had to change this, so it became a loser leaves WWE match. So Rose would suplex Deville on the ramp, and Rose would hit a flying clothesline off the announce table to Deville. Rose would set up a table, she tried to set this table a lot, but kept failing at it, and it actually became a funny gif people were posting online everywhere. Deville put Rose into a nice dragon sleeper, and then Rose would put Deville on a table outside the ring. Deville would roll off, then Rose would grab a couple chairs from underneath the ring and slide him across the table and try and hit Deville in the face, but Deville dodged him every time. It kind of a missed opportunity. I don't think they really used the table at all in this match. After that, Rose would hit 3 running knees, an underhook facebuster, and then another running knee to Deville to pin and win. So she is staying in WWE. Sonya Deville is going to be leaving WWE for the time being because of the current situation that happened. And then after the match, Otis would come out with his Money in the Bank briefcase for some reason. Looked like he was trying to cash in. But he does the Caterpillar to celebrate with Mandy. Mandy tries to do the Caterpillar, or the Worm. Very sad attempt, but yeah, that's how this rivalry ends for now. Rose is still in WWE, and Deville is going to be off camera for a little bit. After that, we get Dominik versus Seth Rollins, and Rollins came to the ring wearing some wrestling gear inspired by Halloween Havoc, I think 1997, when Mysterio took on Eddie Guerrero in that classic. It might have been 96 actually, but anyway, Rollins wearing that purple and black gear inspired by Rey Mysterio's outfit. Then Dominik comes to the ring, accompanied by his dad, Rey Mysterio. And Dominik, early in the match, hit a tilt-a-whirl arm drag, which is very impressive for the rookie. After that, Rollins goes for a kendo stick shot, but Dominik counters with a drop kick. And then Rollins would later gain control on top Mysterio, and he would go for the curb stomp. Dominik dodges this and hits a drop toe hold onto Seth Rollins, and Rollins face plants onto a chair. Dominik would then counter a buckle bomb into a Frankensteiner. And it should be noted that Rollins is making Dominik look $1 million. I'm sure Dominik's a good in-ring competitor on his own, but Rollins is one of the best in the business today, and he was bumping like crazy for Dominik. After that, Rollins would hit a Superplex Falcon's Arrow combo, and then Murphy would get a table while Rollins was destroying Dominik with a kendo stick. Rollins would put Dominik on the second turnbuckle, but Dominik would counter with a kendo stick, Russian leg sweep maneuver. Off of that, through the table, and then he would later hit a frog splash to Uncle Eddie, tribute to Eddie Guerrero. After that, Angie Mysterio would come out, and Murphy would try to shove Dominik's eye into the stairs, kind of like what Ray did, or what happened to Ray from Seth. So Ray comes down, he makes a save. They end up cuffing him to the rope while Dominik's lying on the floor. They're about to wail on him with these kendo sticks, and Rollins gets the idea to make Angie come closer and watch. Dominik comes over, makes a save, hits a 619, and goes for a frog splash on Rollins. Rollins counters with the knees, and Mysterio, he's in the ring, but he's still handcuffed to the bottom rope, and Rollins is, he's got Dominik knocked out. He's holding his head up, taunting Ray with it, hits the curb stomp, pins him for the win, and yeah, that's it. Dominik loses to Seth Rollins. It looks like they may set up a tag team match. Dominik and Ray teaming up against Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy at Payback. The action in this match is pretty good. The story, though, was fantastic. The emotion between Ray and Dominik and Seth and Buddy Murphy. Fantastic storytelling by all these guys. Really good match. I highly recommend you watch it. And it's funny, it's 15 years after that other storyline-driven match between Ray, Eddie Guerrero, and Dominik that happened at SummerSlam 2005. After that, we have Banks taking on Asuka, defending her Raw Women's Championship. Asuka's second match of the night, and Banks would go to work on Asuka's knee right away, and then Asuka would put Banks in a knee bar outside the ring, but then Banks, oh my god, the impact from this move shook me. This looked like Asuka was heading for a concussion straight away. So they're both on the ring apron. Sasha Banks hits a sit-out sunset flip powerbomb off the ring apron to the floor below, and Asuka's head and back just smacked the ground incredibly hard. You heard the smack on camera. It sounded painful. It looked painful. I don't get how Asuka wasn't knocked out here. After that, Asuka would put Banks in an ankle lock and later hit a top rope DDT, which was a really cool move. A lot of hard-hitting spots in this match. Banks whiffs on a frog splash, and Asuka puts her in the Asuka lock, but Banks counters into a bank statement. Nice little exchange there. Bayley, in a bit of a flashback to the first match, Bayley would get on the ring apron. Asuka would go for the hip attack, but instead of taking the bullet like Banks did for her, Bayley would dodge it, then get kicked in the face, and this would allow Asuka to put Banks in the Asuka lock. Bayley's on the ground because she got kicked in the face. No one's there to save Banks, so Banks taps. Asuka wins our Raw Women's Championship, and looks like we're getting a wedge driven in between Banks and Bayley. The two-women power trip, no more. They don't have all the gold anymore, and they might be feuding after Payback when they defend their Women's Tag Team Championships. I would not be surprised to see them lose those belts and then feud for Bayley's SmackDown title going forward. After that, we had Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. This match started out pretty slow, but it picked up pace and became a very hard-hitting match. Orton would backdrop McIntyre onto the announce table a couple times and suplex McIntyre off the announce table to the floor below. After that, McIntyre would hit a knee breaker, but Orton returned the favor with a kick to the leg of his own, and then McIntyre would hit a spine buster and put Orton into the figure 4 leg lock. Orton counters by pulling the ref down by his shirt, and then while the ref was distracted trying to get himself back up, Orton would reach over and just poke McIntyre in the eye, breaks up the figure 4. Classic heel move right there. McIntyre was on the Tree of Woe, but then he would do that ab curl up, grab Orton, toss him off the top rope. Classic McIntyre move. Then Orton would be busted up with a Future Shock DDT. McIntyre would take Glasgow Kiss and a clothesline, but they both fall to the outside of the ring on that clothesline. Later, they get back to the ring. McIntyre counters a punt into a big power bomb, and then McIntyre would later go for a Claymore kick, but he whiffs. Orton sets up for the RKO. McIntyre counters that into a backslide pin for the win. An underwhelming finish to a hard-hitting match that was really picking up. Definitely leaves the door open for a rematch for these two guys at Payback, since Orton wasn't really beaten. It was kind of like a fluke counter into that backslide pin. But still a solid match. Hard-hitting, heavy blows. Check it out. I enjoyed this match. Started out slow, but picked up nicely. And if you're a fan of this big brawling, not really brawling, but just a hard impact, heavy hitting match, this is right up your alley. After that, we got the Falls Count Anywhere match for the Universal Championship. The Fiend challenging Braun Strowman here. Now, the biggest thing here, everybody was thinking that maybe Alexa Bliss would become the embodiment of Sister Abigail. They were hinting at her involvement throughout the last couple weeks after Extreme Rules. And that did not happen here. Instead, we got something else that I did not see coming. Pretty sure no one else saw coming. So anyway, the Fiend, he comes out. He got really sick entrance inside the Thunderdome. Does a neck twist to Strowman to start the match. He slams a toolbox onto Strowman a couple times. But then Strowman would counter and plow Fiend through the barricade. Strowman would chokeslam the Fiend onto the announce table. And it looked painful. It looked like the Fiend's are back at the edge of the table. And the table kind of broke, but didn't. So his back just absorbed all that impact. Looked painful, sounded painful, and the Strowman would hit Fiend in the face with steel steps. Strowman would kick out of he would hit a power slam onto the Fiend. Fiend would kick out, and then Strowman would drive the Fiend into the LED board at the top of the ramp. They're fighting a little bit in the gorilla position, and Strowman was hit by the Fiend with a Sister Abigail in gorilla position. The other may make their way back to the ring, and they would fight a little bit on the ramp. Strowman's head bleeding from the Sister Abigail, and the Fiend puts Strowman into the Mandible Claw. Later, they end up getting back into the ring, and Strowman hits another running power slam. Fiend kicks out, and then Strowman would go to the toolbox, grab these mat cutters, and he would just cut the ring mat, take off the pad, expose the wooden bottom of the ring. He would go for, the Fiend would slam Strowman onto the wood and hit two Sister Abigails and pin him and beat him for the title. So the Fiend is the Universal Champion, and then as soon as the match is over, the Fiend gets up and he is speared by Roman Reigns. He came from literally out of nowhere. I did not see that coming. I'm pretty sure no one saw that coming. So Roman Reigns is back in the WWE after he initially withdrew from WrestleMania, and we haven't seen since TV because of the whole current global crisis we're in. But he's back. He spears the Fiend, spears Strowman, grabs a chair, starts wailing on Strowman with it, an unbelievable amount of times. And then he goes back to the ring, spears the Fiend again, holds up the belt, and we cut the black. That's the end of the show. So a very surprised ending with the return of Roman Reigns. Very happy to see the Fiend win the title, and it looks like with Reigns back in the picture, Strowman getting his rematch, and the Fiend having the belt, looks like we're going to get a triple threat possibly at Payback for the Universal Championship. And that's all I got for you. If you like this, feel free to get a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. Check out my website, cincyfanzone.blogspot.com. Give me a follow on Twitter, on Instagram. Links to both those are in the description below, and those handles are at Cincy Fan Zone. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.